Hi guys. Okay, so we are in East Jerusalem near what's known as the Garden Tomb, which is one of the sites that people believe may have been where Jesus was crucified, buried, and resurrected. Tourist Central. As you can see all the tour, well, there are tour buses, trust me. So this is the Garden Tomb. It's one of the traditional sites where people believe Jesus may have been crucified and resurrected. But being an archaeology student, I have to whisper very quietly that it's highly unlikely because archaeologically the site doesn't work. But it's a really gorgeous location, so we're going to go look at it a little bit. We'll just kind of film the modern garden. This is a modern garden that they've really planted a lot of beautiful plants in, to kind of give you a really peaceful kind of contemplative feel. And then here is the tomb itself. Okay, and it's a really neat place to see. I'm sorry, I'm walking with the camera. That's Katie. I'm walking with the camera, so it might jump a little bit, and I apologize for that. I know some of you have probably been here. Maybe some of you haven't. This is the tomb. I'll take you inside. So there's a fence, a gate here now. The place where the body would be laid. I'm sorry, I know that's hard to see. And then this would be an area where the people who were mourning for the deceased would come. And they would stand in this area. This is the opening to the tomb. There are friends taking pictures outside. I just want to show you the sign on the door because it's pretty cool. Come on, just walk back for a minute. I want to take a picture of the door. The sign on the door I think is great. It says, "He is not here, for he is risen." I love that. And this is kind of the courtyard of the tomb. It has a area where a rolling stone would have gone. There's not a stone in it now. And what's really great is that this garden is usually like swarming with tourists. And today, or at this time of day, it's not. And now we are over at the part of the Garden Tomb where people believe maybe a historical site where Jesus was crucified. I wanted to come on here and talk to you before we went over there to let you know there's actually a bus station in that area now. But you'll see a hill that I'm going to show you, a hillside. It's like a cliff with some holes in it that people say would have been in the shape of a face, like a skull. And Golgotha, where Jesus was crucified, is called Skull Hill. So I'm going to show you that area, and I'm going to show you some pictures while we're up there that might give you an idea of what it might have looked like. And again, this is one of the sites that people think may have been the traditional Golgotha and burial and resurrection of Jesus. Okay, so here we go. That's my assistant. And again, it's a tourist site, so you'll have to excuse the kind of framework that's set up for tourists. So here's the picture of what the hillside looked like even within the past few decades, actually maybe 30 or not 30 but maybe 40 years. It's a picture. And then I'm showing you the hillside through a fence. I'm sorry, you probably cannot see that at all, but this is the hillside. You might be able to make out a face. I'll kind of put my finger in there. Where is that? Ah, there we go. So right above my finger is an eye hole and another eye hole. And down below ground level now is where the mouth would have been. Today there is an Arab bus station in the area. It was built on the grounds, and there's a mosque there. Here is a cool pillar, Roman pillar, and a little plaque down in front of it. Kalani, can you go stand in front of the camera so I can show them how tall it is? So this is a broken pillar. Okay, it's in the garden, and there's Kalani standing. So you can see it's a little taller than her. Okay, now let me get this sign. This is such a peaceful garden. The sign says, will you read it?
The Lord Jesus said.
The Lord Jesus said.
It's more
Blessed.
blessed to give the
Than
than
to
to
receive.
receive.
The Lord Jesus said it is more blessed to give than to receive. Acts 20, verse 35. I like that because that's like a pillar of our faith. And there's a pillar right there with that plaque. And then there's just more of the beautiful garden here. And there are little different spots all throughout the garden for groups to stop and sit and pray and sing and have communion together. And since I've been here today, there's actually been at least one group that's come through that had a time of worship, which was beautiful. But it's almost time for them to close. So like I said, there are a lot of groups that are not here right now. So it's actually a great time of day because it's so quiet. All right, we are in East Jerusalem. I waited till I got all the way down to this end of the street. We are near Damascus Gate, and people are really going to be looking at me like I am crazy. But I'm filming for you guys. We are on our way to Damascus Gate, and this is a super busy part of town. Fresh fruits and vegetables, beautiful people. We're out here in East Jerusalem, and there's always lots going on. Tons of tourists, tons of tour buses, and we are coming up on the old city. These are the walls of the old city, Damascus Gate, and you'll always see lots of tourists over here. It's a really very famous gate. During the Ottoman period, it was the main gate of the city. This is largely the Arab side of Jerusalem. Here's a nice rotisserie chicken cooking. I like this site. You can't find this on the side of Jerusalem where I live, which is in West Jerusalem, which is predominantly the Jewish side of Jerusalem. That's a history that I can talk about some other time if you'd like. But here's a great view of Damascus Gate. Okay, and here we are again at Damascus Gate in the old city, by the old city actually. We're not inside, we're just near it. And I'm gonna start shooting Damascus Gate for you. Here's the gate. Here's the street so you can understand why all that noise is going on. Here's Damascus Gate. It is the biggest gate into the old city, and so it's kind of like a market. Tomorrow it will be full of people and stuff to sell because Fridays is the holy day for Muslims, and so they come here to the old city, go in the gate and go to the Dome of the Rock, and actually not just the Dome of the Rock but the mosque that's up there called Haram al-Sharif. If you ever look at video or pictures of the Dome of the Rock and even the Western Wall, you'll notice that there's actually two domes up there, a gold one and a kind of silverish grayish looking one. And the silverish grayish looking one is actually the place where people pray. It's actually the mosque. The gold one isn't at all. It's a shrine to where Muslims believe that Muhammad ascended on one particular night into heaven. Okay? So here's some more footage. This is a huge gate area. Like I said, there's a lot of men sitting around. I'm probably going to get some weird looks. But it's a huge, this is the biggest gate, a huge entry, sitting and walking area here. We're coming down the steps from the street to the gate. Okay, so I'm going to stop filming now, and I'll catch you again in a little bit. Here is a nice candy shop, and you can tell how fantastic it is because it is thronged. But I'm gonna take you to my favorite candy shop maybe later today. Look at all that candy. And the little ones that like it. Yeah. Okay. Woo. And this isn't just for tourists. This is like this every day. Selling some soap. Here's some nuts. Nuts and candies are good to give to your guests. And tomorrow is a very important day. It is Friday. So people are stocking up on their nuts for their guests. Look at these gorgeous clothes. If you ever think that Muslim women are not covered, are not wearing anything fancy under these robes, amazing clothing. Hold on. Here's an animal. Yes, a whole hanging beast. I think it's a goat. And people will come and say what part they want, or they'll get the whole thing. Okay. There's people waiting for their stuff at the butcher shop.
It's cow.
Oh, my daughter says it's cow. I don't know.